All right, welcome to Jack Dodson'S Racing Insider News. I think this show's going to go a little better because I'm here. Probably, facts are facts.
The only
thing
I did last week is I left one of the things up there for a long time. But other than
How long's a long time?
We had two people tell us. We had two comments.
You couldn't see the screen and see that it was up there?
I was talking.
But he does
Multitasking.
Yeah. Let's thank our marketing partners here. Let's scroll down. I think GAC, Great American Company, which I think is going to be on board for next year. Don't think they're changing. I don't think there's an official word out yet, but okay.
Don't know yet.
Papa John's, got to thank Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza for always providing. We never get tired of pizza, Jack.
Okay.
VA 811, call before you dig. Got to thank Factory Canopies, Fluid Logic, been with us for a long time. Tim Brown on Slinger Speed Company, if you want your local t-shirt company for t-shirts, hit Tim Brown up, does a great job. Black Acid Racing Apparel, if you want one shirt or 1,000 shirts. MPM Marketing and Tanya McAllister helps with all your social media. She does a whole lot of stuff. She's involved with Speed 51, and then what's the race team?
She's involved with 2 or 3 race teams.
Yeah, does a great job. Thanks for her being with us for a long time. Bonders Brothers Distillery. Got to thank Langley Speedway, Bill, Chuck, especially Terry. Terry's the boss. She's in charge. Performance Plus Motor Oil, Safety Clean, Turn 2 Synthetics with Waltrip Pressure Washing Solutions. I thank Hunter for coming on board this year, and hopefully he'll want to stay and come back next year. Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Jack's and mine's drink of choice there. Mosquito Joe's, 50% off of your first service from Mosquito Joe's on this side of the water. They don't do Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, that stuff. Southampton Motor Speedway. Got to thank Sammy Gator Graphics. Their show is presented by Mean Dean Automotive with Grier and Associates. Can thank Dean and those guys and Grier for coming on board this year. And where's it at, Jack?
That place in Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moyoc.
I've seen it before.
RDS. Got to thank those guys for coming on board this year also. I haven't seen him walk around. I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, Nine-Toe Robert.
Yeah.
Nine-Toes.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to do something for the car number, I mean, he could have done something different besides having 9 toes. Mayhem Company, thank her for our graphics and so forth. Papa John's up again. If you want your 25% off your Datsun 25 at Papa John's for your 25% discount. Fast Eddie's Barbecue. We're due for some barbecue.
Yeah, 5 weeks now.
Oops. And then we signed this year at Charlotte. We were just talking about S&N Communications. Thank those guys for coming on board this year. Appreciate that. Thanks, Miss Brandy Marshall. Thank you. Jack, you got some news there before we get to that?
All right, the Cup Series race this weekend. How about that time clock thing on there? There are a lot of people talking about the time clock thing. I think it was a good thing you knew you were getting dark. It was time to
Well, there's a lot into that, right? They couldn't have run on Monday. That was not an option. But man, what a race though. I mean, SVG was the guy in the beginning, right? I thought he was going to be, although the 20 was putting a lot of pressure on him, which I was kind of surprised. And then when he got taken out, what's the kid that the Roush guys put in a car? I mean,
Joey Hand.
Yeah.
Joey Hand, yeah.
I mean, I thought he was going to be the guy there for a while, right?
He won a stage. I mean, he was looking good.
Yeah.
But did he win one stage? Didn't he win 2 stages?
No, he won one stage.
One stage?
SVG won the first stage.
Okay. But I mean, he was leading it in until the 48 got by him with a lap to go, 2 laps to go, maybe.
Also had a little dust up between Bubba and Alex Baldwin, Alex Baldwin, Alex, after the race. I mean,
There's been some talk about that.
Oh,
whether
yeah.
he deserves to be punished, not punished. I mean,
I don't know. We'd have to see if we could talk to the people who do the, the punishment and the appeal process.
If only we knew somebody.
So anyway, all right. In the Xfinity race, SVG won the Xfinity race, and I
he
mean,
put a clinic
he
on.
was the cream of the crop. The ARCA races, they had two ARCA races from out at Irwindale. Sean Hignorani won both of them.
Like, what was all the dust up about the?
All I know is they said it was a disrespectful interview after the race was over with.
Yeah, they got that up for
Yeah,
I
I don't understand what the.
At Hickory, they had two late model races. Michael Baumgartner won both of those. The limited late model, Jordan McGregor won. Our buddy Boo Carlisle, he had a third and a fourth in the street stocks out there. Tri-County, Ryan Millington got the win in the late models. How about at the Cars Tour race in Caraway? Brent Cruz got the late model stock car win. He was followed by William Byron and Connor Hall. In the pro late models, Tristan McKee got the win. Little kid. And Connor Jones was second. Caden Quappel third. In the Legends race, that Keelan Harvick won again.
But that was an exciting race. The Cars Tour. I mean, Connor's he's hot. I mean, he is hot right now.
Yeah.
He's got to be the favorite for the heat and for the Triple Crown as of right now.
At Caraway in the Smart Mods, Bobby Labonte won. Up at Shenandoah, the Virginia Sprints were up there. Darren Bolak got the win, and there's some cat named Mullis that finished second. Do you know who that was?
I think he's won there before.
So anyway, at Kingsport, Keith Helton got win in both late model races there. And in the Mod 4s, who won the Mod 4?
Kevin Canner.
No, he did not.
Oh,
Chris Ambergy won this time.
he got dethroned, huh?
No,
Yeah, right.
Kevin Canner said he had an engine problem and he finished last in the race. And that's the first time he's not finished.
Not one, and
this year. So that's a big deal. Some little news that they had. Josh Berry went to the Woods Brothers after last week's show. We found out he got signed with the Woods Brothers. But the crew chief didn't go with him. Ryan Childress ended up over at Spire, and he's going to be with Corey LaJoy. I think that's going to be good.
that was a shot.
Yeah.
And then, how about the news of all week? Haley Deegan got taken out of the 15. They put Joey Logano in. This week, Josh Berry's going to drive the car.
Mm-hmm.
And then my understanding is that Harrison Burton is the driver for next year.
Mm.
So, anyway. All right. Well, that's all the news I got. Let's go ahead and let's get our dignitaries in here. All the dignitaries. We'll let the three of them sit here.
Yeah.
And then you and I will move to the side.
We'll sit over here. Where do you want me at?
Huh?
I'm gonna come all the way on there. Come on.
Come on,
Make
man.
yourselves comfortable.
All right.
I'm gonna come on
And here comes our international person.
What were you doing over? Where the hell were you at?
Vaughn went on a world tour.
I was in Greece. Honeymoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Congratulations. I didn't get married.
Honeymoon in Greece. And he watching us on his phone.
I know,
Right.
you made that better.
And you made fun of me. You made fun of me. All right, we got a big race coming up pretty soon. And so we've got Mr. Bill Mullis here with us, the owner of the track. And the head man, what's in charge? Got Vaughn Crittenden, the social media guru. And Shane Laws. What do you do, Shane?
Just head bottle washer.
Yeah.
He's a racing administrator.
Pretty
Take
much.
guys like him. He does a lot of paperwork behind the scenes. He does a lot of organizing and things in the tower, reports about tech, and a lot of things on that people don't see each week, whether he's really here or not. So I call Shane chief administrator.
So,
Somebody's got to be the guy.
so big race coming up, and I know one thing for sure, it's gonna be huge, and a lot of people are gonna be here, and all because everybody started hearing about Dale Earnhardt Jr. and they went crazy.
Did y'all hear about it at the same time everybody else did, or did you kind of, Vaughn, you're smiling?
We had a heads up.
You know, it's kind of funny. You know, this has been talked about, and you know, he's been wanting to come for a while, and you know, his schedule is so busy, and then when he had the TV deal he was doing and racing, but he, you know, he's always wanted to come here and race, and it finally worked out. You know, you know, because really, if you look at it, if you watch all the racing and all the racetracks are great, but Langley is a place to be right now.
Langley is getting a lot of popularity across the country. I've been several places now, and you hear about Langley everywhere you go.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Does this add pressure to you guys because Dale Jr.'s coming in town?
I don't think so. To me, from my viewpoint, it's another race. I think more pressure is making sure you take care of your fan base. You don't really oversell this place. Okay, so it turns this place into a bad experience for people, and we've been real careful there. So the world, you know, the word sold out sounds scary, but it may have us in a sensible place here.
Gotcha.
You know, we've seen Langley full before, but we kind of understand what that is, and we also know what our limits are. You know, so I think it's going to be pretty good. It's to me, of course, I've had like 500 requests. You know, somebody called me in 20 minutes that I haven't heard from in 20 years. Oh, don't you have room in your skybox for July 20th? And I'm like, why? Well, my wife's on the computer. And, but my answer, really standard answer, has kind of been, and it's the truth. He's coming here as a racer. Okay.
Right.
He talked about it on his podcast a few times. And I really want to race there. His mom's from Norfolk. He used to come up here as a kid and visit family. And he would come to Langley Speedway and get people to bring him here, and he'd watch races. And he was a big Phil Warren fan. And I think deep down inside, he's always wanted to race at Langley one time as a racer, you know. And this place is a pretty cool place. And to me, so I told people, I said, looks like to me, you know, because we didn't hire him to come to Langley Speedway. I'm really proud that he wants to come here and he wants to race here and be here with us. That's really cool. But I really think it was my job. And I told him, I said, look, it's my job to let him come race and not get mauled by people.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to let him and pick and choose whatever exposure he wants to give or opportunity to people. But people like, well, are you having a session for this? No, we didn't hire him to come here. So we're not going to ask him to do anything but come and
Race.
I would like to see him register his car and just go hang around and just be able to be a racer.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what a guy like that really dreams of doing, is maybe, you know, I mean, he knows everybody loves him and that's cool, but he would love to come here and he just wants to be a late model
He
guy.
just wants to be like
That's what
everybody
he
else.
is in his
Right.
heart, you know?
Mhm.
But when
I
you,
totally get it. You know, I
Mhm.
understand the perspective, but I think we're blessed. You know, Shane said Langley in podcast has been mentioned, and Connor's done so good in Butterbean, and there's been a lot of positive vibe around this place lately. And then this kind of adds, like, puts a cherry on top of the feeling to me we've been having lately.
Right.
So to me, it's like the biggest blessing in the world. I'm like, God, I guess we're blessed, you know?
Yeah, and I can add to it, you know, obviously we love having Dale Jr. come race here, but what he brings is the exposure. Everyone's going to learn about Langley. You know, in us selling out this race, almost 20% of the people that bought tickets had never bought a ticket to Langley, at least online.
Mm.
So that tells you we're bringing a lot of fresh faces to the track, and it's on us to create that repeat business and show them what this place can offer every week.
Shane, you've had him at some of the tracks that you've been at.
Yeah, so Florence, you know, for the last 2.5 years, you know, for the Icebreaker and for the South Carolina 400, you know, he's been to each one of them at the last 2.5 years. And, you know, I got to echo what Bill said. You know, he comes in, he doesn't want any special treatment. He wants to race.
That's,
You know,
that's his goal.
He don't care where he pits at. You know, if he's in line and the hauler comes in, how we start parking the haulers. down pit road. Wherever he falls in line, he falls in, and whoever his roommates are for the day, that's who his roommates are. And, I mean, he just races, and he likes talking. He gets out of the car. I've seen him at Florence. He get out of the car and he'll walk down. I've seen him tap Lee Pulliam on the shoulder and say, I see him talking. He's doing like this, they're talking about what's going on. And he's just, he just loves to race.
And like Bill said, he makes a beeline sometimes for Phil Warren every time he sees
Oh, yeah.
is around Phil Warren.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran into him at Wilkesboro 30 years ago. We were racing there, and we were in Tech Line through Tech, and there was 120 some late models there. And we got to talking. He's like, "Where you guys race at?" We're Langley. Goes on. He's like, "Is Phil still winning all the races over there?" I'm like, "How the hell you know who Phil is?"
Yeah. One of the comments he made at Florence, I don't know if it was the last race or whatever, but he was talking. He said he was talking to somebody. I can't remember who it was. And he said, what would have been cool to race against Elton Sawyer, Bubba Adams, and Phil Warren back in the day. Now, that would have been a cool deal.
Yeah.
Like, so
I'd agree with that 100%.
I mean, he knows all the names. He knows Langley. He knows what Langley is about. He knows what all the other tracks are about.
Yeah.
But with all the conversations that we've kind of had behind the scenes, man, he's just excited to be coming here.
And I think it's a great thing he's coming. I mean, that's going to be huge. It's going to be huge for the racetrack. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge for these race car drivers that are out here right now. They're going to have the opportunity to race with him. He's not any better than anybody else when he comes out there. He's doing everything he can do to be a racer. So, all right. Tell us a few things you got going on for the Hampton Heat. Any rules and things that you want to discuss? And
Just we're 100% by the NASCAR rule book. We did decide to keep. Each track kind of has a little difference in weights on the packages, but the Chevy upgrade engine is going to have the same weight as the 604 crate because they're about equal horsepower. Those two motors, and then the other two engines, the Ford crate and the Harrington, are equal horsepower. So, it's going to work out. And, kind of got out of changing rules about 3 or 4 years ago. We're going to run and you decide, i.e. competitor, what you want to bring to the race. Now, one thing that I like that Bill and I sat down and talked about, we always had Friday was just practice all day. Okay. Then Saturday was so jam packed. Okay. We had inspections, we had this, and everybody was running all day and it's hot. So we decided to just open the tech line up on Friday. That was a good idea. Bill called me and said, "I think we need to move this," and I said, "I agree." So while practice is going on Friday, we're going to have the tech shed open. Everybody will have to come through at some point at their choice. They'll have 5 hours to come through, whatever time they choose to come through. I seen like at other tracks and talking to the other leaders, like Jeff Bomar, South Boston, Robert Turner, and guys like that, and Jackie. Most of the guys just go ahead and come through the tech line. Practice will start at 1:30, I think it's starting, and everybody will probably be in the tech line. They want to go ahead and just check, and that's what they choose to do, but it'll be open for the ones. And then on Saturday morning, for the ones that are not here on Friday, we'll have, the tech line open just for, a check, the same thing we checked on Friday real quick. But typically that's 3 or 4 cars, and then, Saturday morning, instead of, a lot of tracks open at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, we're going to open at 10, so if all the teams want to get up and go to breakfast and, come in, but we're going to do practice in the morning and move the drivers meeting a couple hours later, and then just kind of have like a little lull time. And we added a little more time to pre-qualifying tech, so it's not a rush. Everybody can get through tech and get on pit road and just kind of take a deep breath, and then qualify. So I think we got a good schedule. We're going to see how it works out. We worked on it and hashed over it for a week or two, and then,
I seen where you put out about the schedule for Saturday, Friday, and Saturday. As far as you concerned, can you go over that a little bit for people who have not seen it? I mean, just hit the highlights.
Okay.
You don't have to.
So we're going to open at 11 o'clock and we'll close at 7. We'll
It's
start,
Friday.
and this is Friday. Yep. We'll have a quick little crew chief or team representative meeting right down on at a racetrack. Just kind of talk about Friday and leading up to the drivers meeting on Saturday. They like that, and I kind of tell them, I go ahead and tell them right then and there exactly what we're teching and pre-tech. So they know, hey, let's come on over. Let's be ready. Let's go ahead and there's no surprises on their side, no surprises on our side. Everybody knows what's going on. It's nice and easy. It's a good time. Then from 1:30 to 6 o'clock, the tech line is open and open practice. And we'll have a break, like every 30 minutes if needed for a little 3 or 4 minute break just to clear the gates if somebody shows up and we got to get them in. And then 6:30 to 7, everybody's kind of packing up and loading up. But years past, everybody's by the 6:30 time, everybody's pretty much loaded up and ready to go out to eat. Everybody loves to go. There's so many places to go eat around here. Everybody loves to get out early, enjoy their night. Then on Saturday morning, we're going to open up at 10 o'clock. Late model gates only at 10 o'clock. We'll get everybody in. We'll have a late model practice from 11 to 12:30. And I think Vaughn just decided, him and Chuck, I think.
Yeah, gates will open up for the grandstands at 11 a.m. Originally, we were going to do 12. Went ahead and decided that when the track goes hot, gates will open.
Yep. A lot of fans like to come and just watch practice.
Right.
So it's pretty cool. Then we'll have sign in for our Super Streets, Pro 6, and trucks will be at 11:30, and then they'll practice from 12:30 to 1:30, 2 rounds of practice. There was some concerns about the late model practice going on and them getting over to get tires and everything, and I've tried to answer those as best I could on Facebook, but I'll go ahead and answer again now. We always have almost our whole staff here all day long, and we have golf carts, we have the truck, and we help guys get back and forth, with their tires, with their fuel, help them if somebody needs to run out. We've even had a guy, some guys get parked and they say, oh, dag, I forgot ice. And we run them to the 7-Eleven to get ice, or either I'll send somebody to get ice. So it's not that they're at the outside pits and forgot about. We're helping everybody. Not only the late models, if somebody needs something, a lot of you teams travel in and only got one truck and a hauler and it stays in, and we've loaned guys something to go get lunch. So outside our local divisions, they'll get just as much help from our team as the late model guys are getting.
And one other thing to piggyback off of that, because I saw some of the chatter today on that too, is if the gates are absolutely slammed and we've still got 15 minutes to go until the next break, Shane stopped it before, cleared the gates.
Right.
And getting tires that day is going to be the easiest it's been the entire year because all late model guys will already be done. So when they're going down there, it's just those 3 divisions that are getting probably 1 tire apiece.
Yeah.
So it won't be some crazy mad rush down there slammed. It'll be pretty easy to go in, get your fuel, get your tire, and get back out.
And it's funny how it works, and it's not planned, okay, but it just works out. So when practice starts, okay, we limit 14 cars on the track at one time, and usually after about 2 minutes, it works itself out. And then, like he was saying, if the gate's full, at times, instead of the 30-minute set time on paper, if I look out there, I got a set of binoculars. I'm looking up and down pit road. If I see everybody making adjustments and the track is empty, I'll go ahead and throw a quick red flag. We'll open the gates for a minute, clear the gates, get everybody in. So it's not like it's set on 30 minutes.
Yeah, you do a wonderful job with that. I've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
You keep everything going and keep everything moving.
Yeah.
And that way you don't.
Well, you got to keep it moving because at the end of the day, when everything else starts, all the flow people and the television and everything, you have to back everything up from there, and you got to be ready to, okay, do I have to cut something down? Not TV, okay?
Yeah.
Not announcing, not driver introduction. Those are things that
have to be done.
That's kind of taboo.
Right.
You don't mess with them, so we just we back everything up from there, and then we've adjusted some things in pre-qualifying tech. I'll tell the crew chiefs that, and then there'll probably be some things that we may check after qualifying in lieu of before, just to keep the flow going. So
Real quick, I'm gonna jump in
Yep.
because I saw
Yeah.
a comment come in.
Mhm.
If you want to come to the track on Friday, you can watch practice for free from the grandstand. You do not need a ticket.
Wow.
So you can come anytime on Friday and watch from the grandstand. You'll be good to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know of any other place that probably would
No,
do
I
that.
don't.
Yeah.
So,
and then, it's pretty cool. All the guys like structure. Okay.
yes.
Okay. They don't care what kind of structure it is. So like right after the drivers meeting, at 2:30, everybody knows that's been racing with me before on that certain time. And I'll cover that like 10 times. I'll say, oh, okay. And it just happened to be 2:30 on that day. Everybody stops work. Everybody backs out of their pit stall, because it's not fair for the first guy that's in the tech line, somebody still sitting on the scales. Okay, so everybody just backs out of the pit stall and starts rolling the tech. And those guys really like structure. All your late model guys that are traveling, which all divisions like structure. I'm just, so we got times for everything, and we're gonna do. I think qualifying starts, I believe, at 4:15. I think
Yep.
it is.
4:15.
Yep. So a qualifying will start at 4:15, and you allow about a minute 20 seconds per car. That's adding about 20 seconds of float on each car. So you do the math from there. So I base this off of a 30 to 35 car field for the times that we allow. So that's how when I sit down with Bill, Bill likes numbers. So I sit down and say, okay, I based it off of a minute 20 seconds per car based on a field of cars like this. I've added I've added about 30 minutes of float into the qualifying, just in case something was to happen in qualifying. And then we do a final work session when the racing starts. Everybody in the stands will see the late model guys kind of go crazy down there. That's the final work session. If they want to change a shock, a spring, it used to be an impound race. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's impounded from the end of qualifying till 6:30.
Till the work session, right?
Yep.
Right.
Until the work session. Then at 6:30, they have 30 minutes.
Okay.
They can change all 4 springs. They can change the gear. Only thing they can't physically change is the engine, transmission, and the rear end itself. If they want to change a truck arm, if they want to change whatever they want to do that makes them comfortable, that's what they do. And 80% of the guys won't do nothing. They'll just check the oil and stuff and make sure everything's okay. So I feel really good about our Saturday schedule. I'm ecstatic about the Friday tech. Okay.
Yeah, that's a
You know,
big thing.
Is this the first year for that?
Yes.
Okay.
One
Here,
thing
yeah.
we did, Shane and I, is like even tech, we dissected it down to, okay, what are you teching and what's realistic per car? And then I added the factor. I said, okay, Shane, we're going to have more people here than we ever had in our life, probably even in the pits, with the amount of cars that are going to be in the pits and what they'll allow per car. There'll be some people around. And I said, Shane, we're going to have more crowd control, and maybe it'll hamper movement a little bit.
Mhm.
I wanted the race day to be more laid back than like a fire sale where everybody's rushing and running into each other, and there's masses of people watching. Well, I got 3 minutes to get over here, and not only that, our staff even keeping up.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Shane and I looked at how much effort it took in the center of Saturday to tech the field of cars and what it actually took for real tech per car, it added too much. And I said, what can you get rid of? So we took everything that happened Saturday and threw it on a wall, like little dots over there, and we picked them off and restacked them. And I said, what can we move? How do we do this to make it more laid back for everybody?
I love
And
that
not such
theory.
a bad experience, even if it's a lot of people, the movement, the flow is planned now, but the timing of the flow makes sense, even if you got a lot of people around.
Right.
What we're doing now makes sense, and I really believe it'll work. We studied it. Shane and I studied it really hard. We talked about it, studied for 2 days, and called each other back. We looked
Yeah.
at the numbers. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, we know the real numbers. Like we've timed cars through tech. We time qualifying start to finish with X amount of cars here all the time. We time races here. We time in between races here. Everything's in a race report every Saturday. So we do have very many numbers, but it creates knowledge of
Yeah.
your own average performances that you can depend on,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then that creates kind of normalcy.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing, but like I said, our tower reports are really cool because what time we started a race, what time we finished the race, what happened in the race, how many cautions. It's a lot of cool information. And when you look at it, all it is like you really got a real-time clock on yourself, and you can be realistic about scheduling
Mm-hmm.
instead of unrealistic. Like, well, I don't know enough about what I'm doing to know how good I am. But we've got so many timing records. It's pretty precise when you look at them. The averages are extremely precise, like the tech average times and qualifying times for how many cars. They end up being really defined averages.
Huh.
You
Well, I think the
really-
average
really
person
good-
doesn't really
really
think
good.
about that.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
they
not
don't
only
do
the
the same thing on a cup scale. They know what it takes to
Right.
move that field of cars and what their schedule is, and they study it. And, you know, of course, great racers help us at Langley. Even the supports, people are always ready and do good here. So,
Yeah.
you know, it takes the race community to support that too. It's not just us and our officials.
Yeah. I mean, I love that being a little relaxed on Saturday, and that makes it for much
Well, I
better.
like it too, trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
we all do.
I mean, but even for the racer, I
Everybody,
mean,
even fans keeping up.
But you
Right.
imagine, you know, with the heat there, like being a little relaxed in there because it's,
It's nice.
you know,
Things
you
flow
have,
a little
like
easier.
we had, you know, it's always been real hot and everything. It is good to have that relaxed thing around it to where you're not busting it every minute of the time you're down there to get
yeah,
ready.
you're not dead when the race is getting ready to start, you know?
You know, because it's like, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, I came in, I asked Jeff could I come in and call the races, you know, because I hadn't called one since Florence, you know. So
Yeah.
so Jeff and I talked, and he said sure, and he stayed up in the tower there with me. I called races, and everything went like clockwork that day. And we actually finished qualifying at like 10 minutes to 6.
Yeah.
Okay. We got the haulers out, and we had like, I looked at the thing, and it's crazy. You're gonna laugh because I'm going to the minute. We had 47 minutes before I had to turn it back over to the guys on the front stretch. So everybody got to sit down, eat a piece of chicken, whatever they were going to do, you know,
And it's good for them
For
to be able to
47
take a break, take a little break before
you
the
know.
race.
So
For sure.
I think we've got the Saturday schedule built with enough float in between each thing that there's going to be breathers in
Mhm.
between things that are happening.
All right.
You know,
One of the questions we got here is concerning that is, are the support divisions still doing Euro qualifying?
well, yes and no. Okay, so it's not a full-fledged Euro qualifying, a separate Euro qualifying. They're going to have 2 rounds of practice. We're going to extend their second round by about a minute and a half, which is, you take a minute and a half at a 20-second lap, that's right many laps you're adding.
Right.
Okay, so they're going to qualify in their second round of practice.
Okay.
Okay,
all right.
so their time in the second round will set their feature
Based on speed.
based on
Practice,
speed.
practice
Yeah.
speed.
So, you know, and we've done that in the past. I enjoy doing that because then that's one more hour I can cut out of the day and split up. You know, I got 15 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes here. You know, we can add for everybody to take a break. You know, and then like Bill was talking, our conversations. Okay, once we get the schedule set, then Bill comes back and says, okay, what do you need? And this is one thing I love about Bill. Okay, I'm not saying that because he's sitting here, because I've worked with a lot of owners, but Langley is probably the best track owner wise and promoter wise that I've worked with. He came back to me and he said, okay, what do you need on Friday now to be successful? And I said, okay, well, I got to have a person here, you know, I got to have safety here. I got to have 4 tech guys. You know, there's no way around with how you check the late models on 4-inch blocks now.
Yeah.
You have to have 4 guys, you know, for the wheelbase.
Right.
So, you know, so we do that and we set a schedule and do the same thing. Me and Bill talk about that, you know, but the coolest part, like I said, is he doesn't say, well, can you cut? He says, what do you need to be successful? You know, but he also knows me that I'm not going to bring in 15 extra people either.
Mhm.
I'm going to do what we have to do.
And
to be
the same
successful.
thing true, like a lot of people don't know how uninvolved I am in a lot of this racetrack. Like TV production and stuff like that. This man right here is the champion. I mean, he's the one that got you all the lights. Him right there. I'll tell you publicly. I've said it before, but Vaughn was the biggest cheerleader I had, encouraged me how much lights would change Langley. But he also knew what it would do for his video productions as a video guy like he is. So him and Chuck Hall were meeting today with Adam and all our guys, Justin, and I'm not going to go in there and tell them anything. They know they've got what they need from me and my support, and they make decisions. I wasn't part of decisions on Friday or any of that, and I don't need to be. And I know I don't, because every time I hear about what they're doing, I think it's great. I'm like, man, that sounds cool. I like that.
But you know,
And it's been consistently that way for years. It didn't just start.
I was getting ready to say it's been like that for a long time. But you know, you benefit from having great people to run this show. You've been, and a lot of people. I mean, I see you out here talking and walking around and whatever more than I see you doing anything else as far as the track is concerned. You're talking to the people, but and you got good people to do the other things that you need to get done. Even Shayne and but I mean, really, I mean, you got Langley's got the best of the best. I'm concerned.
It's a blessing for me because it really makes. I mean, I don't have time to work here, and it's a hobby. And when something that's supposed to be a fun hobby gets to be too big a burden, then it's not a hobby. It's destroyed. It leads, you know, it grabs your life and takes it from you. I'm like Dale Jr. I still want to go race, and I don't really want to have to worry about Langley. You know, Vaughn's going to have great TV. Shayne and Stickman are going to have great racing, and the girls are going to do great scoring, and Keith's going to have good tech, and I don't have to really worry about a lot. But I do know how blessed I am. That's one thing. I mean, I don't probably get to say it enough. All you guys with this radio show, all that stuff is like magic for me. I look from the distance myself and watch Langley like, wow, man, that's a cool place to be involved. I'm so glad I'm a small part of it. And, but it's different, you know, for me because I might study Langley home on a piece of paper late at night, but these guys are doing such a great job with it, you know, and I watch Flo. I know how good our production is and what things look like here and how great the lights were, Vaughn. Thank you for making me take that leap. It wasn't an easy one.
It was a big leap.
It wasn't a big leap.
He
He never gave up. He was never negative. He told me, he said, I understand it's a big investment, and I think it made a big statement for this place too. You know, I mean, we're not going anywhere. And, but I think it's what we did then that's changed Langley and brought it in the future to bring it where it's getting ready to be July 20th. It's all these things combined and all the good people. And I was always I'm not real smart, but I'm always smart enough to hire people smarter than I am to do things. That's how I got on. You know what I mean? So
well, speaking of
you always get people smarter than you are to try to work for you in their specialty, what they do. They're good at it.
Speaking of on and the TV production stuff and everything, you got a good guy here that pretty much he's got a handle on all of it. I've seen him go in out here.
Well, he's way smarter than the rest of us.
Look at all the Langley videos, and then also go look at the last South Boston video he just did.
Unbelievable.
I mean, how incredible is that? Even I was talking today. Okay, so I don't understand his world at all. Okay, but it's like, look, you know, I call him sometimes. And I say, look, man, I'm gonna sing you something. I need you to do this with it. He said, and I'm like, man, I'm like stressed out. He said, oh, that's nothing. You know, so anyway, I'll send it to him. But it's even like I was telling him on the phone either last night or today. I can't remember. Like when the song's going on and all, you got like the boom, 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 and like he changes the scene like 3 times. I'm sure that takes a lot of work to do that.
Well, for you and I.
Yeah. So
For Vaughn, he's
you know,
like,
just
nothing.
it's really pretty cool at a video.
Yeah, he does stuff like that. And I did the show last week and left the graphics up. I mean, during the show. I'm not, you know, I'm not that. You know, I'm not.
I think I talked about it.
We'll work on it.
You know, but it's like what you were saying and Bill was saying. You know, one of my best friends in the world, Bush Laster, he said the same thing. He said, "You surround yourself with great people, and great things just happen."
Yeah.
Down to nobody ever pays attention, but on Saturday nights, the buffalo blowers, the orange blowers, they just appear in the corners. Somebody does that every week, and you don't even have to tell them. It's not like you have to do, okay, radio check, let's get the buffalo blowers in the corner. You know, the staff here
Does it without
automatically knows where stuff goes and what's got to be where, what's got to be on the cleanup truck, what's got to be, you know, on the front stretch, what's got to be in the pits, you know. So it's just, you know, Langley and the race directors and everybody else that come in are really fortunate to have the staff on the ground that Langley has.
And speaking of the flow of racing, and I know you're really big into that. I've watched, and I ain't gonna call the name of the racetrack. I'm not gonna name, but I watched a race this past weekend on flow. And compared to what we've got here, this racetrack was 5 years behind us. As far as I'm concerned, they did. I mean,
What I'm not going to defend them, but I'm going to bring understanding to that. They are 5 years behind us, because if you look back at Langley, you know, George Silverman, when he was vice president of NASCAR, wanted a way, this goes back 15, 20 years, concept of taking short track racing to a venue, which has happened. Even back then, we didn't think that anybody would watch a thing like flow racing that much. So we talked years ago about, man, wouldn't it be cool, you know, if tracks were could stream and we had some kind of program, you know, something that's named. And then I remember last conversation we really had serious about it. We were somewhere in Daytona. He had a Hawaiian shirt on. And I don't know why I remember we're at a Hotel Luau. But we were seriously talking about kicking short tracks into a venue. And then he came and he said, what do you think of AMA dirt track, flat track racing? I said, it's a perfect marriage. I said, do it, and there's crossover. So Langley, you know, was one of there was two other tracks, West Coast. What were they on?
It
Evergreen?
was Evergreen and Tuscan.
Okay. They were also early in conversation about, you know, hey, we'd love to be able to do something like that in the future. So when we started Fans Choice, 2014, we were one of the first 3 tracks in the United States. So unless they started in 2014, we were ahead of them. And Vaughn can tell you more about it than him. So I'm just going to hit the timeline, and then Vaughn can go deeper into how it got good, because I can't explain it. Because we started out maybe one camera, okay, and we came along with a couple, and then NASCAR, you know, we were all communicating. And I remember, I guess Vaughn maybe worked with Jeremy Wallace back then. I forget who it was with NASCAR that he did actually plugged in his video work in media. And all that went along. And I want to say at some point, and it must have been pre-COVID, Fans Choice was a platform that wasn't a right fit for how it was. I mean, it just didn't have.
It gone as far as it could, because it was a free model.
The free model. So then we had a few tracks on Fan Choice, and Vaughn can explain that better than me. But we took what we considered the premier production, and only those tracks were invited to go to NBC Sports Gold. And it was your production content that got you there, strictly. Because I was in the meeting in Charlotte in a great big tall building, 21 floors. Jeremy Wallace and Dan Barker was brand new. He had just come from what, NFL football or something,
I can't
maybe?
remember exactly.
But anyway, so Langley was fortunate enough, because Vaughn had tuned his production in those early years to make the NBC Sports Gold platform. That platform was a test to get short track production good enough to be actual content that people may want. A package that's packageable. And then, so that happened. I think it tuned us up. I think he did real well at that what I call kind of a high level foundation. Then we'd come up here and jumped over here, and let's see if we survive, and let's see what content is. And it was that content that maybe started flow with Dan Barker and the boys. And like I said, that transition, Vaughn knows more than I do, because all I had to do is keep in here in charge of wherever this place was migrating with production, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people on that path, you know, that led to the good production. You know, Jesse stole my thunder because I was already about to say it. But even before we had live streaming, you know, Taylor Mine was here,
yes,
doing the DVD thing, which already kind of started us off way ahead of other tracks. So, you know, we already had a camera guy.
Wade Harrington had done a TV show.
Yeah, Wade, you know, before
that,
him, you know, that was kind of before my time. But, you know, Taylor was with kind of when I came aboard, and he was selling the DVDs, and that was a really, you know, for the time, it was a really easy way to go watch your footage, go back, purchase your DVD of the race night, and you could watch the races. Obviously on a large delay. And then once we got into the days where it was just the one camera, Taylor did it for a number of years, and then he's got married, started a family, didn't want to be here every Saturday night. So from there, I had a small carousel of people coming in and out. Some were great at it, some not so great. But anyway, that even led to us getting eventually Nelson Moody, racer out here for a while.
Right.
He got on the camera. And then in 2020, when that was the jump to NBC Sports, the biggest reason why that was successful and why Track started wanting to be a part of it was there was finally now revenue in streaming. We could put this production on, but at the same time, there would have been no benefit at that moment in time. It was a free product. You put as much money as you wanted to it, but you weren't going to get anything in return.
Right.
But when NBC came on, that changed. There was now a little bit of a kickback for the tracks to reinvest into the broadcast. And so in 2020, while the world was shut down, I actually had 2 months to build up that system and try to figure my way through it. I was extremely lucky, and I was able to find a producer to work underneath me to run the show every night, and Dan Parisi, who now actually is one of the executive producers for Flow with the Cars Tour.
Right.
I just happened to get this guy in here and work for us for 2 years, and Dan's the one that trained Justin, and Justin was on it. But Dan's experience from working in TV broadcasts and sports was what really helped us make that jump. So when Dan left, Justin jumped right in, and it was a very seamless transition. It was the exact same time that Flow was coming in. Again, another huge investment from a streaming service into short tracks to help bring money in that allowed us to keep improving the system, fund the broadcast. That's how we're able to make it as good as this day. So it's just like what both these gentlemen said a moment ago. I was able to surround myself with some really great people that ran it. Adam did camera work for a while on it before he jumped back on pit road. He's even done the broadcast a few times from the producer's chair. And, there have been a lot of people that have gotten their hands on this. Casey's another person that, helps out when they can. I've only actually directed 2 shows. And when we upgraded the system last year, I did the first one just because I was the only one at that point that actually had used it. So really outside of that and one other one where I filled in, those guys are the ones that put that show on every week. I'm just the one who built it. So a lot of times if there's a technical issue, I've probably run into it here at 3 a.m. already once. So I guess you could say that's what I can bring to the table. But even then, Justin is able to go through and figure out a lot of these issues when they come up on a race day, and he does them very quickly, and we get it fixed, we get it done, and we're back going. But the biggest thing that people don't realize is even at our level, how much goes into that production, and mistakes will be made. Technology breaks.
Yeah.
We've gone through GoPros, not because they've broken, because they've melted. It's hot here.
Yeah.
They'll overheat.
Yeah.
And there have been plenty of times that on a Saturday, you'll see the flagman go down to the speed shot down here by the flag stand and turn it back on because it shut down because it got too hot. So, stuff happens. So when those
Those are
do,
things
just
you
have a little bit of patience.
Those are things you can't predict. That's just run of the
It's
mill.
the human element of it. It's not perfect.
But Bill, with your, I guess, the way you are with NASCAR, how where your status is with NASCAR, it's got to be delightful for you to know that Langley Speedway with the Flow Racing, if not the best, it is one of the top Flow Racing.
Oh,
Shows.
it's crazy. I mean, I never, y'all know this. I mean, Vaughn knows as good as anybody. I was a go-kart racer. and hobbyist car racer. I never imagined myself in this role to start with. And it's kind of like Elton and Jefferson or anybody else. You say my role in NASCAR. My role in NASCAR came through Langley Speedway. And so this place has done so much for so many people. When you're involved in it, it does other things in your life you kind of don't expect. It opens other doors. And so you really never know where life's taking. It's kind of a slow migration.
Yeah.
You know, you take some bold steps, but later on you're like, wow, I never really even expected that out of it. So Langley's kind of been a really cool ride, and I'm really proud of it. But what I'm really proud for is like Vaughn and Shane and you guys and Adam, and the body of Langley is what makes Langley on Saturday night. It's not me. You might not find me. I might not be here. One Saturday night, I was over there in that turn 3 spotter stand, sitting down eating ribs, looking over the wall like some bird or something, you know.
I thought that was you over there.
You might be surprised where I am on Saturday night. And I watch this place in awe, like fans sometimes, and I'm like, wow, man, isn't this place cool? And I sure like this camera stand Vaughn put back here. And
When he passed me that night, I was on my stomach underneath the billboard halfway down the backstretch trying to get a shot.
But the thing about it is, I was sitting over here, and I looked over and I saw this guy over there,
Little hair.
and I'm kind of, what is he doing?
One of those cars is not like the other.
What is he doing?
I'm watching
And I did not know, and then it came out, maybe that's Bill. But we didn't know for sure that it was
Right.
Bill.
I was eating rolls and ribs up there. Chuck Hall saw me up there, brought me a thing of ribs and some rolls, and I was sitting up there. I was laid back, laying over that fence, watching the cars, and
Belly
the view
full.
up there was prime. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. We need to build a box right here too.
Yeah,
But,
let me see you sitting over there again.
You know, to answer your question, it just, I'm really proud of Langley. I'm not, it's not really about me. I'm just proud of what's happened in the period of time we've been here. Now I care about it. I'm a kind of person that I consider this place my home. And if I invite you to my house, it's probably going to be neat and clean and organized. And I'm not going to clean it up after you get there. I'm going to clean it up before I invite you. And I'm going to plan the day you arrive. And I want to be a damn good host. And I want Langley to shine and look good, and people make it shine. But I work behind the scenes. I mean, you might be surprised what I run around here and fix in early spring pre-season with paintbrushes and wood in the back of my truck and West System epoxy. And I walk around and I got a pretty critical eye. And I, like right now, I know a half a dozen things right here I want to do around the track. Little jobs, some little, some big. But when the place looks pretty good to me, I feel like it's ready for public. That y'all's house is good enough that y'all aren't ashamed to be around here, and it fits
That's
us.
our house. That's all
Yeah.
I'm
And
saying.
it's got to fit the city of Hampton, and I think it fits NASCAR where we are with weekly racing series, and I feel like we're kind of where we need to be, you know?
I do too.
Yeah, that's amazing. As old as this place is, when you look at it now, you're like, wow, it's
I know.
still here.
I know.
So I did notice a question a little back, kind of coming back to while we're all sitting up here. How many cars are going to be in the Hampton Heat?
Oh, I got a couple questions.
All right.
Marty's article said 300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he fixed that. Don't worry. Don't
He
do
fixed
that.
that. I'm just
All
kidding.
right. Fire away, Jack.
All right, well, the first question is from Robert Hibby. So that'll explain part of
I'm
it.
nervous already.
And this is for Shane.
Okay.
This one is how many cars will start this race? And the payout on the webpage says 43. Will you start 43 if 43 shows up?
If we get 43, we'll start 43. Our biggest field that I've been a part of to Hampton Heat history has been 39 cars.
2014.
Yeah. So 39 cars, and
Was that when we raced at 2:00 in the
That
morning?
was that year.
that was the year.
All right, now.
And then we'll come back and talk about at the end, you know, we've covered everything else, and maybe you'll hit it. We'll talk about the actual race procedures.
I was going to ask you about that in a few minutes anyway. The next question is, if you have more than 43 show up, how are you going to determine the field if more than 43 show up?
I don't think we have to answer that.
I'm not going to answer that,
Yeah.
but that'd be a conversation that I would definitely go have with Mr. Mullis, all
Okay.
depending on
I mean, hopefully that's the
whether
problem,
it's
right?
10 over or 2
So-
over or 3 over. I would have that conversation.
Right now, we're at 27. that have officially come through. So I'm sure there's a few more outliers in there, but
How many were at South Boston?
they had 32.
32.
So I mean, usually we're just under them, but that can fluctuate. But really, the last 3 or 4 years, we've been right at that 29 to 33, pretty solid. And we're just on the cusp of that right now.
But if you,
I was gonna say 10 more 10 days out, there's still probably, if I had to guess, maybe 2-3 max left that we
I
hear
think it's a
from.
couple more, but
yeah,
I wasn't even thinking about a 43. I never thought about
Right.
that because I don't
and then if you start looking at the entry, when Vaughn starts posting the entry and starts putting each name out there, I had the pleasure of seeing the list. Vaughn showed it to me today. You look at it, you say, wow, only 20 something. But if you look at the names on that list,
heavy hitters.
oh my gosh,
Heavy hitters.
and look at what Connor did.
Yep.
In a race. He come from last. So, qualifying was only, it was tight. It was tight.
Yeah.
So qualifying, you can be 0.2 slower in qualifying and not even be in the top 10.
Yeah. I actually just realized it's actually 28 because I just thought of this.
Okay.
I had one driver that answered the old survey 2 days after the Sobo race. I don't know how they found the link for it. But I need to contact them and make sure, but I'm pretty sure all their stuff matched up with what they're racing right now.
I'm really thinking
So I'm
we're
gonna put
going
it
to have,
28 right
I'm
now.
really thinking we're going to have, my thought with everybody that's called and talked to me over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I'm thinking it's going to be 33 cars. That's what I think.
Okay, now for Vaughn. He's got a question for you now, Vaughn.
Yeah. All right.
Will additional grandstands be brought in? I don't know why this is Vaughn. This is more like something.
I can still answer
Oh,
it.
that's
So yes, but not for ticket sales. It's for space. We could get the full allotment in this grandstand. That amount is also, that's a really tight grandstand. That's like, America's bigger than when this grandstand was built.
Right.
So, yes,
And then you answered the second one. There will be no additional tickets.
there's
sold.
no additional tickets. It's just to help with space and overcrowding. Not to mention to be able to spread some of the crowd out. Will make a better experience for everybody.
Well, that was his questions that he had. So
Okay.
anyway, all right, let's go back to race day things that you got going on as far as during the race.
Okay.
Any special stuff you got going on?
No, because everything leading up to race time is the hard part. When the race starts, that's really the easy part.
For you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for me.
Pressure's all looking like a.
At
'Cause
6:30 on is when I'm panicking.
everybody that's coming and the competitive level and the professionalism of how they race is great. I'll start off first. This tower at Langley is pretty good, okay? Because you got people that throughout the race, somebody is already calling out to me who the free pass is. Okay? So I know, and I'm calling that out over the race, so the spotters know. So every time the free pass changes, I'm already calling it out. So as soon as if a caution comes out, we already know who the free pass is. Okay. We have instant replay. Anything that happens on the track, there's enough cameras at Langley to where there's an instant replay.
And that's helped out a lot.
Oh my gosh, it takes all the guesswork out.
Yeah.
You look at instant replay and it don't lie.
Right.
It is what it is. So the calls are easier in the tower. So right now it's a 200 lap race. We're going to have a break at lap 100. No tire changing. It's a 4-tire race. You can buy you'll buy 4 race tires, which will be impounded until a certain time. I believe we'll release them at 12:30 to the teams to get ready for qualifying tech. But you can buy as many practice tires as you want. Okay. Each team will have to check in 4 emergency change tires that were bought here on that Friday or Saturday.
Right.
Okay. And those are your emergency change tires. Unless it changes, and this is something that Bill and I didn't finalize, but right now I'm leaning towards what we've done in the past. Caution laps are not counting. Okay. Unless we get into a situation, because, you know, even if you look at we call them a quickie caution.
Right.
Okay. Even if you have a quickie caution, you have to, with that many race cars on the track, you have to cone up with 2 to go. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's 2 laps right there. And let's say that you have to spend 2 or 3 laps cleaning the racetrack up or hooking someone up. Okay. Our wrecker crew is probably some of the best guys in the world, and getting guys off the track in a hurry. You know, that's 6 laps right there. Okay. Now, you know, everybody says, you know, and one thing, when it's cooler weather, you can just stop the cars on the racetrack and clean up and go back. But when it's so hot, as soon as you stop that car, it's like an oven,
Right.
you know. So you don't want to stop it too often. So a caution laps are not going to count. The caution will come out at or about lap 100. Okay. If we have a caution, if we happen to have one at lap 95 or 96, okay, you know, I doubt I go back green for 2 or 3 laps. Okay. I'm not going to chance doubling the field up just to get 2 or 3 laps in. Okay. You know, race. So we'll go ahead and do our break. Pit road is closed. Okay. Until we will go ahead and take care of the free pass. We'll go ahead and make sure that the lineup is correct. And what we do also is we've been very successful, and actually other tracks I've gone to have incorporated this. We'll ride around at lap 100 for about 6 laps, okay, to ensure that we have no flats, okay? Because once we open pit road and you come, as soon as you enter pit road, there are no flat tires,
Right.
okay?
And that's, now let's say they get a flat tire. That's to change it. It has to be handled by the official.
It's got to be handled by the official.
Right.
That's why we do it at 6 laps. If a tire is going down, we'll see it going down. Okay. Now there's 2 penalties. Okay. There's one that you have to have common sense. Okay. Just like what happened to poor Matt Waltz. You know,
Yeah.
He came in first or second one year. I was standing right there, and when he came in, the right rear was going down. Nobody had been to the car. You know, so that penalty is he can change the tire, but he gives up his position, goes to the rear, and he's ineligible for the free pass or the cone for the remainder of the event. Now, then there's another penalty. Let's say everybody gets down pit road and everybody's going to work, and there's enough officials on pit road. We're looking at all 4 tires just to make sure that there are no flats, just like what Matt Waltz had. So then once we let everybody go to work, there are no flat tires. If you have a flat tire at that point, then you sit right there until the green flag drops.
Right.
Then you can back or pull up to your pit stall and change the tire, and you're ineligible for the free pass or cone. And by then you're probably 3, 4, 5, 6 laps down.
During that cost, how much work can they do to the car? Clarify that, because that was a question I got asked too.
Anything they can do in 15 minutes.
What tires?
Yeah, can't change tires.
Okay.
There's no tires allowed. When the haulers pull out of the pits, there's only 4 tires left per team in the racetrack. Okay.
Okay.
So after the haulers go out, there's really nowhere to hide tires. So there's only 4 tires left. All the other tires that they practiced with, done everything with, they go with the hauler to the outside pits. So, you know, so we've had great success. And actually the late model guys actually helped vote all these rules in, because tires are so important. But, you know, if they want to change a shock, a spring, whatever they want to do, we typically tell them we'd appreciate it if you don't change gears and stuff, because then don't put yourself in a situation to where I have to make a call to put you to the rear if you're not on time after 15 minutes. Because again, just as starting the race, I have a time that I have to go back.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So that 15 minutes, I'm telling everybody, our lineup is good. We're double file on pit road. We come out, we do a couple extra little heat up laps just to get the tires hot again. And instead of coning up after that, you just double file because the field is set.
Right.
Okay. So, and then we go back, and then we will have as many attempts at a green, white checkered as needed. Okay. We hadn't had an issue like that in a while, but there's no limit of 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. We'll do as many green, white checkers.
And back to the same thing, if the leader takes the white, that's the end of the race.
What now?
If the leader takes the white flag at the end of the race, and then the caution comes out, do you still go back to that previous lap?
I go back to the previous lap unless over half of the field has crossed for the white lap and there's nobody in danger.
Right.
Okay, so say if a car spins in turn 3 and his driver's side door is towards the traffic coming, I'm going to throw a caution.
Right.
And we're going to go back and do a green, white checker.
Okay.
But if over half the field crosses and somebody just happens to spin right here in turn 1 where nothing's going to happen at the end, then, so it's kind of a judgment call in the tower of that. But typically, if everybody's safe, we will finish the race.
And I want to explain one thing in procedure
Yes, sir.
because of what happened at Martinsville, let's say the year CE fought one, and we had repeated starts repeated shots at a finish. And then I think what happened that made confusion in people, because what we restacked them 5 times, is that if a car was out of competition, the line came ahead.
Yes.
You remember that because that was a thing that the fans really, they got all confused and argued about it. But I was standing there and I knew the rule and I'd been watching it, standing on the side. I think Spencer Saunders was standing there and I said, I think CE's going to win, because you were seeing what the rule was. And then there was all this controversy after the race. Like people didn't understand how you all arrived at the cars the way they were lined up, but it was this particular rule that Shane had to talk about that erases that confusion on multiple restart attempts.
When you
got
refer,
damaged vehicles.
when you have a caution, you revert back to the last green flag lap.
Right.
Okay, how that lineup was. Okay, last completed green flag lap. Okay, so you have the field set. Okay, and say you go back green. Okay, and a caution comes out, and you got to revert back. And say there was 4 cars. Let's just say 4 cars. 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 8th crashed out. Okay, when you reline the field back up, that line moves up.
Right.
You
That's
don't
without them.
you
It
don't
just comes straight
restack
ahead.
the whole field, and that's what happened in
Take too long.
That's
Martinsville.
what happened. They thought we restacked.
So
Yeah.
you don't come back and do a whole new computer scoring where it's 1, 2, 3, 4 and restack them and line them up. And I think in people's defense, years ago, you would restack the field.
Right.
You would
Yeah.
stop them. You would stop them in turn 4. You'd send the caution truck back to the backstretch, and you'd say, okay, 57, 22, 30, and you would restack them. Now you just go back and line the field up, and that line moves up, or the inside line moves up.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things that caused the most confusion was, I think it was 3rd, 5th, and 7th went into turn 1. Okay, well, when we restacked the field, I think CE was like 9th or something. Well, then he come all the way up because we moved the 1 line up. And that's just how the rule is.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, that makes
So,
Yeah.
but if you don't understand that, you're saying like, what in the heck are they doing?
Yeah.
And I think, I want to clarify this in your opinion. I think the old school way of lining cars up when y'all hand scored and everybody was line scoring to now is the fact that now you do it differently because you've got the convenience of electronic scoring.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right, the change
100%.
of old school
100%.
rules and modern late model rules, it was a change that electronic scoring brought to the tower. It was a great convenience, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
that's what changed that. And
Yeah.
old school people would still think, why aren't they doing this and
Mhm.
restacking? But they don't with electronic scoring.
And it's
So that's
nice
what-
because as soon as the caution comes out, it's a split second. Paul is hitting the print button. It comes out on the printer.
Right.
He turns right around and grabs it, hands it to Christine, and her and Stephanie compare for a minute, line scoring versus the computer, just to double check and make sure that we're okay. And I had the lineup within 10 seconds. So, and then, it is what it is. And I tell everybody, look, as soon as that button gets clicked and the computer prints it out, it is what it is.
That's right. Yeah. Well, let's talk about something I think is pretty cool. The Hampton Heat is also the second round of the Virginia Triple Crown. I mean, that's a big deal going on this year. And how big is it for Langley to have the second round of the Triple Crown? And how big is this Triple Crown this year? I mean, it's really huge.
I'm gonna let Vaughn talk some about that. I'll try to be short. My deal is lately there's so much attention in late model stock car racing alone. The popularity Butterbean's gained in the Cars Tour and exposure. The popularity Connor Hallsback got as national champion and Cars Tour success, just exposure that these guys have gotten. You know, the Ryan Wards, I mean, you know, all these cool people racing in Cars Tour, and it's getting so much attention. That attention is late model stock car racing, and I think it's enhanced. They've bled over, and the Triple Crown, I feel like, has got more excitement behind it than I've ever seen, particularly maybe on a fan side, the following side, because of the Cars Tour. Then, you know, 3 big races in Virginia, and then you turn it into Triple Crown and time together. And I think I felt it in South Boston. I have never seen so many people in South Boston in my life. And I've been there quite a few times. And I don't think I've felt the vibe that I felt at South Boston with their opener a few weeks ago. And I mean, I want Brandon Brown and Nick and the staff did a fantastic job. You know, everybody did a great job, and it was a really good event. Of course, fireworks were great. So, but there was a huge vibe there. You would think there was an Earnhardt there.
Yeah.
Without an Earnhardt there, it's our own stars. And you see, like in the autograph session, the line for Butterbean, you know?
Yeah.
Down there 200 feet long. And, you know, I mean, it's I think the dynamic of the attention of the sport's changing, and we're getting the benefit of that too. You know, having been a Triple Crown track all these years, and Clay and I, we sat there at Sobo and talked about it a pretty good while. We're ecstatic because when you start something like this, the only thing we knew that was right to do was stick with it. You all know that. You got to grow it. But so to me, I think it's got this great vibe. But I really want Vaughn to talk more about it, and even Shane and you guys more than me, because I watch it. I mean, I'm a big fan too. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about Langley's place in Triple Crown. It's really good.
Well, I mean, what's really cool about it is obviously, you know, Sobo's race, ours, and Martinsville are crown jewels in the late model community. But the overall Virginia Triple Crown is now its own crown jewel on the way up the NASCAR ladder.
Yes. Right.
You know, I'm very excited to see 5-6 years from now how much more drivers are alumni of these events racing in Xfinity in the Cup Series. I mean, you're already seeing, you know, it reaching up to that point, but it'll be, you don't get to that point unless you run the Virginia Triple Crown. Obviously, if you're coming from the asphalt world, I'm not, you know, obviously if you come from dirt, different places, obviously, you know, that's a little different. But, you know, it's not just prestigious within the late model community. You know, these events are now prestigious within the racing community. And you see the attention that it gets all over the place. You know, obviously this year is a very special edition of the Hampton Heat. But, you know, before that, winning this race was already a really big thing and a bucket list item for racers all over. So, you know, the Triple Crown is fantastic. It's great that there's so much synergy between all 3 of the racetracks. It's even really crazy for me because Brandon and I literally shared a wall at Richmond Raceway when we worked together there. So, you know, that was really cool. And technically, Clay was our boss because he was Dennis's boss back when, you know, Dennis was the track president at Richmond. So, you know, we all know each other very well. We've all worked with each other, you know, and now we get to do that in this capacity. And, you know, the Triple Crown just represents so much. You know, tracks working together. You know, Clay will be here. The VP, Karen Parker, she'll be here helping us. Brandon Brown will be here doing social media for me Friday and Saturday. Just like, you know, I went to South Boston and did the video work for them and helped them out. So,
That's cool.
You know, it works all over the place. And I just love being a part of how big it's all become to where, you know, for instance, Ross Chastain was being interviewed in Nashville and talked about watching the South Boston race
Right. Yeah.
the night before. So, I mean, that tells you just how many people are watching these events.
And another thing with Connor Hall and Butterbean,
Yes.
they're getting all the attention. I mean, it's got to be big for the racetrack. It's got to be big for that national championship last year.
It's huge.
That was huge.
The motto of the track is where legends are born.
Right.
And we've really had the chance to show that these last few years in watching both Connor and Butterbean have the success that they've had. You know, it's kind of crazy. They've been racing late models out here for 9 years. You know, you think of them as up and coming stars, but in the eyes of most Langley fans, like they have been here a while.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
they raced legends before that. They were in the kart club before
I was gonna
that.
say they've been racing each other
I mean,
since they were kids. So.
yeah, and I've been right there with them the whole time. I mean, I remember being, you know, racing here on Sundays in Stock Light, and Connor was running Junior 2 road course in the trailer beside me, you know? So, you know, I've known them for most of my life, so it's really cool to see them have that success, and, you know, I can't wait to see which driver out here becomes that again. You look at, you know, like all Ada Millett, Jacob Derrick, you know, Riley Music, Cody Bryant are all kind of in that 2015-ish version of, you know, Butterbean and Connor right now. So it's kind of exciting to see, you know, what'll happen.
And that division they're in, with those guys racing like they do, man, you know,
It's great.
that is huge for this racetrack because it's getting a lot of attention.
Well, it's the future.
Right.
You know, I know a lot of late model guys 4 and 5 years ago would ask ourselves, you know, who's going to replace us?
Yeah.
You know, Danny, Greg, Mark, those guys wondering who's going to come up behind us. And, you know, I think we're finally being able to answer that question.
Oh yeah.
I stayed scared to death of that question for 5 or 6 years. And
Yeah.
we always were worried about the late model future. Like, man, it's going to crash. Where's the future coming from? And then it magically keeps happening. You know, I look at the Cole Bruce even, you know, the young kids that come down.
That's
to
another
Richmond
one.
and
Ryan
play.
Matthews.
Ryan Matthews, that kind of support. It's
And they
just
come from far
phenomenal to
away.
see
Come
They
race
do.
here on
those
Saturdays.
guys racing here.
Yeah.
And they're all good. The quality of racing and professionalism in the limiteds, to me, has just been absolutely fantastic.
Mhm.
And they're always
If
thinking
you're gonna start
ahead,
a bunch
too.
of limited cars, you're gonna have a bunch of trash late models needing clips all year. No,
No,
it's been incredible.
It's been good,
Cool,
clean
hard
racing.
racing.
It
They
has.
love their cars. They kind of want to take care of them. You know what I mean? And so
They've proven themselves.
yeah.
They have.
it really has.
And they think ahead too, just like you know, Eddie Johnson's son's race.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
you know, Eddie Johnson.
Donovan.
Eddie Johnson called me today and said, "Hey, look, I know we rained out last week. Can you talk to Chuck and y'all talk on? Let's twin it up on the 27th." You know, they love coming down here, and they're trying to make up a race. And you know, Eddie texts me almost every Friday night, "Hey, how's the weather looking? Are we good?" You
Yeah.
know, before a limited late model race. You know, and he could stop at other places, pass by other places,
Yeah.
but he's coming to Langley.
I mean, how far does Cole Bruce come from? He coming from college.
Yeah, he's at Liberty University.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hey, I did it from JMU
Did
when
you?
I was in college.
Too, yeah.
And there were some nights I drove back to JMU from here. I left the trailer here. I cleaned the tires. I dumped the oil. And then I got in the car and I drove back. It did help that, you know, I was the first race and it was 7 p.m. So, like, I knew I'd be in my car by 8.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like,
just ran your race and then
if I had ran enduros in my college years, it would have been a whole different story. But, you know, I got lucky that way. So,
Yeah, I came from Hilton and Newport News. That's fun.
yeah.
No, but you know, one cool thing talking about the Connor Butterbean thing is even the commentary. Like I was watching on Flow, and all of a sudden they're racing, and they said all of a sudden Connor and Butterbean were together.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, I knew they'd find each other sometime today." You know, and you know, it's just the whole racing world knows about this.
But how big was it for Butterbean when he went to Wilkesboro?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was,
And he goes down and he gets out of the car and the grandstands are cheering for him.
It's crazy.
You know, that was unbelievable that he got that kind of attention.
well, it was really cool, but it didn't fully surprise me. And I'll tell you why. that North Wilkesboro crowd watched him win that late model race the year before.
Mhm.
They already knew who he was and
Oh,
were
yeah.
there rooting for him. They didn't suddenly get surprised by this.
Right.
This,
They came there loving him when
they
got
already
there.
knew who he
Yeah.
was.
And that kind of goes back to flow racing, right? I mean,
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
and the strength of Cars Tour and everything that's become. It's the 2020s K&N.
Yeah.
I've been saying that for like the last 2 or 3 years. That magic that we had back here in 2011, 2012, 2013, especially, it's the same. That's that new edition of that buzz. If you want to go up the NASCAR ladder, you got to run. That's why I can't wait to see 5 years from now how many of these drivers are racing on Sundays.
But it's really cool that how many of the drivers from the Cup Series, Xfinity, whatever, want to come back and try to run a race in the Cars Tour.
Absolutely.
Well,
It's like Dale
definitely.
Jr. coming here, but it's happened at other places.
Well,
too.
the cool part is seeing a lot of these drivers that are retiring, starting late model teams.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's where those seats exist. And obviously, what Junior's done with Cars Tour, he's all in on it. When he needs to put a Cup driver in a seat, I mean, he does it. I mean, he's putting good guys in it. Byron did it, but at the same time, we were all around 10 years ago. We knew Byron from his late model days, So it was.
He won the heat, didn't he?
Yeah.
He won
Yeah.
the heat.
Look at how much fun. Look at how much fun Bobby Labonte's having.
He didn't win Hampton.
Yeah, Bobby
he won a
Labonte's
K&N
having a
race.
blast.
Was
You
it
know,
okay? K&N
He
race,
won a
okay.
K&N race. He did not. He's actually not raced in Hampton Heat.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
But Josh Berry has.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just those things. Kevin Harvick's got a late model team. Junior's got his. And
Kevin Harvick's wife's got the late model.
that's fair. That's fair.
We saw him in Tri-County. I know how that works.
I wouldn't be surprised if next year's Hampton Heat that you don't see about 3 retired Cup guys here racing late models.
Good possibility.
Big.
I wouldn't
I wouldn't be
surprised.
I also
If
wish the
Kevin
Olympics
here
were a
or
week
Phil
earlier.
Brad or
Right.
That would have also been nice.
But there's a couple of questions. Is there a driver's autograph session before the race?
So this year there will not be.
Okay.
Officially by the track. Now, I am highly encouraging drivers, if they on their own want to do something, go out in the fan area and sign autographs. But with the amount of people that we have, especially coming in at the time that we would do it, it just physically would not work for the space that we have. And then the other question I know people are going to ask is then why can't you do it on the track? Same thing though. We don't have as many entry points from the grandstand area into the front stretch as South Boston does. South Boston has 4 different points that you can enter their front stretch from.
Mhm.
So we've
that
got-
would be a madhouse.
we've got 1.5 basically, because we got the 1 gate in turn 4, and then we've got turn 1. And again, with that many people, all the cars, logistics of it, it just was not going to be possible
And
this
I have
year.
to stay
That kind of.
And he's got to stay on time. We've got to do the things that we need to do,
And
and
you know
trying to.
They're gonna hang on as long as they can down there before they come out of there.
So anyone who ever came to like the Kane Brown concerts, the other country concerts that we did, Lee Bryce concerts, that whole infield from turn 4 to turn 1 was about 5,000 people.
Okay.
So imagine that kind of number in the front stretch
Yeah,
trying to get autographs. It wouldn't be possible.
Yeah. And there's another one. How long has the Triple Crown been around for?
11 years.
Okay.
And we didn't run it in 2016, the year Langley was closed.
And then
South
2020.
Boston had their race and
2020.
Martinsville. So Vaughn knows, am I right? It's 11 years?
I'm not 100% sure, but I do know the 2 years it didn't happen, which was 2016 when we were shut down, and then
And then
2020.
And it's hard to believe this.
We were the only one that ran that year.
It's the 11th season.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe it's been in 2016 when the track shut down.
Yeah.
It don't seem like it's been that long ago.
we've sat here this whole time and talked about all this, but we haven't talked about Phil's racing up at Shenandoah this weekend, finished second. I mean, that's
Wow.
I've heard so many good things about you finished second up there.
Well, it's kind of racing, kind of funny, 'cause I never really raced anything that had a lot of power, to be honest with you. I always raced stuff that didn't have enough engines and the tires were too big, you know. And of course, the sprint car deal is really fun. You know, I love hanging around with Bubba and Billy, and we do all kinds of stuff together. And they got a great shop up in Deltaville. But I just went racing, and my car's been pretty good. You know that. I won Shenandoah last fall in that same car. I won a heat race here at Langley, and I think I turned to 14.5 here, and the car is really phenomenal. And you know, it was really hot up there the other day, and during practice, we had one round, and I didn't think the car was great. And Bubba told me, "Don't worry about it. Your tire's going to come in, your car's going to change." And then in the heat race, I didn't think I was great, but sometimes I don't race till it's race time, and ended up on the outside pole when it came to be race time. Somebody said I was pretty fast, and so I decided, like, when the green flag dropped, I thought, let me see what the car's got. And after 2 laps, I was still on the tail of leader Darren Bolak, and he was dead on point. Whoo, was he fast! And of course, when I got there, I looked at who was there, and it's pretty stacked field of fast guys. You got Matt Mullins, and you got Billy Hubbard. I mean, those guys just don't really give you races. I don't care if they like you and you rode there with them; they're not going to give you a race. you ever notice that? And you had both the Harris cars, and you got Gerald Harris at the track. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and but anyway, I figured it might be a tire preservation thing, so I rode along behind Bolak. I had a really good car, and both the Harrises come blazing by us. Gerald Harris took first. Bolak became second. Caleb Harris came in there and took third, and I was fourth. But then there was a smoke show because people were up in front of me were using a whole lot of tires, and I'm like, wow. I wonder how long this smoke show is going to happen. And then I even slid mine up a couple of times. Like, well, I guess we're having a smoke show. I'm gonna see how that is. And upstairs, so we made some blistering laps up there. You don't see the smoke pouring off the rear tires of the sprint cars. The 4 of us up front, or 3 of them in particular. And it wasn't long. After 2 laps, I could see Caleb's tire, and I thought, his speed ain't lasting much longer. And I drove right underneath him. And then a few laps later, Gerald gave up, and Bolak went back on point. By then, I'd closed back in on him, and I went back on Bolak. In the last 5 laps, it was the coolest battle with me and Bolak. And of course, it's a sprint car, so I am not going to hit you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I get sideways behind you and I miss you by that far, I'm going to miss you by that far. So we had some really cool moments, but we raced really super hard, fast, and clean. And in those cars, it is a thrill ride like you would not believe. It was unbelievable. So I had the time of my life,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, man, I finished second. I was really expecting like maybe 6th or 7th or whatever, you know, but it was a good time. I had a really good car again. And just want to thank Billy Hubbard for giving me such a great ride.
Yeah. I need to get
It's a lot of fun.
Billy back on here again. So.
Yep.
All right. Anybody got anything else they want to talk about? Man, I really appreciate you guys being here tonight. Thank you for coming. I mean, we do this most time when we have the Hampton Heat coming up, but it's really cool. We got all 3 of y'all here tonight.
My first show in 2 years.
Yeah.
I know you ain't been around much.
And I think it's somebody's birthday today, isn't it?
I heard that, but I forgot all about it.
So we will sing
Your
your
birthday?
birthday.
No,
Let me kiss you.
I'll pay you not.
Oh, God. That's part of the birthday. I wouldn't want no parts of.
Oh,
No, happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
Hey, Bill says he's gonna start us off singing "Happy Birthday."
oh boy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Will Extraordinaire. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you guys.
And I gotta say for Vaughn, he's on his honeymoon and he's watching our show. I know that was really cool. Yeah, that was really cool. They got mad at me because I was watching. Well, I had to sneak around and watch it. You probably didn't have to sneak around and watch it. I had to sneak around and watch the show when I wasn't here, and we were in where were we?
on a cruise ship.
We were on a cruise ship.
You had to sneak and watch.
I snuck up to the room so I could watch the show.
Vaughn probably didn't do that. He probably said, "I've got something really important."
I was getting ready. I was getting ready for bed. Just
She's been with him a
Got
long
the-
time.
What's the time?
the 6 hour time difference.
Instead of, look,
6 hours.
Yeah.
and me old school, instead of just looking on my phone at what time it was, I was like, okay, I need to text Vaughn, but it's what, 9.
It's like 3 o'clock in the morning.
I didn't.
I
Live,
texted him, I said, hey, you up?
I was as far as 7 hours ahead, 6 hours. I actually, because of that, screwed up the Dale Jr. announcement.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were supposed to go first, and I just flown back from Greece. They're 7 hours ahead, so now I'm back in Barcelona. We're 6 hours ahead. So for me, they were gonna make the announcement at 7 p.m. my time. All right, I was about to go to dinner, so I go on my computer and I schedule everything from Langley to go out at 7:45. I did not realize my laptop had not updated time zones. So it spit that stuff out at 6:45.
Oh, really?
On its
Yep.
own?
I didn't
All
even,
on
I
its
didn't
own.
even know. I didn't catch
Oh,
it.
I'm just on the metro under the ground in Barcelona. I
Oh,
looked down and I went, oh no. So yeah,
Well, look, I let everybody know. I said, hey, we've actually had people from Greece watch. I didn't tell them it was all.
that's what happened.
Anyway, all right. Well, that's our show for tonight. I want
Thank
to
you.
thank Bill and Shane for being here, Vaughn, on your birthday. Being here for your birthday. I guess there's worse places you can be, but
True.
I'd like to say one last thing. I want to thank all the Langley staff for saying yes to the Hampton Heat. Coming
Absolutely.
out. 'Cause it takes everybody.
right.
For sure.
All
So,
hands on deck.
so I just want to thank all the staff. We got a meeting Thursday night. We're going to have a pre-Hampton Heat meeting, go over everything and just make sure that everybody's good. So anyway, I just want to thank all the staff here.
Well, that's a good thing. Go have everybody with you.
Yes.
You got the best to do it with.
Tell me.
All right. And Bill, thank you for letting us have this place to do this
Love
show. And
Love you guys being here. It's all a big family, I'm like Shane, just thank everybody for supporting Langley Speedway, and thank you guys for broadcasting from this place. So it's all fun. It's good
Oh,
for
hey, what are we
everybody.
up to now? It's been clicking.
Oh, we're at 29 now.
oh, okay, cool.
Yep. So they're coming in.
All right.
29 now. They're signing up while we're on the show.
That's right.
That's good. All right.
Ah,
That's our show for tonight. We'll see you again next week. Forgot that Adam didn't sit over there and didn't say a word the whole
not one
time.
word all
No roundup this week, man.
I know.
He's saving his voice.
Didn't have a pit road roundup this week because didn't have no pit road.
We'll have one next week. Come on out this Saturday and join us. We got tickets.
That's right.
All right. We'll see you next week and see you later.